Dr. Lilach Lurie. She's a lecturer at Tel Aviv University, Department of Labor Studies. She's also a faculty member at the Herzog Institute on Aging at Tel Aviv University. Her research spans fields of employment law, labor law, pension and retirement, industrial relations, and social security. Luria had a PhD in law from Tel Aviv University. She was a visiting researcher at Georgetown University and Brandeis University. Her articles were published in top international journals within her field, and her book, Employment and Social Security Laws in the 21st Century, was published by the Hebrew University Press. She has received numerous grants and prizes, including research grants from the ISF, Israel Science Foundation, and from the Israeli National Insurance Institute. So,
Thank you, Laura. And good afternoon, or good evening maybe. I would like to thank the organizers for the invitation to join this event, and I would like to thank you, Professor David Weber, for enabling me to read your very interesting and thought-provoking book, The Rise of the Working-Class Shareholder. In my very short talk today, I would like to first present the book very shortly, its main argument and its importance. Then I would like to provide some support to the argument of the book from an Israeli perspective. And I would also like to challenge the book and the argument also from an Israeli perspective. And then maybe end with some optimistic point of view, like the book, which is optimistic, I think. So very shortly, the argument of the book. So as we all know, unions' power is declining, but while unions' power is declining, pension funds' capital and power are rising. This book focused on centrally managed defined benefit pension funds, which manage public workers' savings. They are, according to the book, the working-class shareholders, and they, the working-class shareholders, which gain a lot of power and have a lot of power, in contrast to unions, they can influence pension funds' investments, and that is their new power. If I would take a quote from the book, labor's capital can become one of labor's most powerful mechanisms for advancing the interests of the 21st century workers. The book, through its chapters, provides many great examples of good practices of working shareholder activism. In the book, Weber argues, and I would quote, "My argument is that fund trustees should broaden their economic perspective beyond blindly maximizing returns that can undermine their own workers' job and the fund itself to a more holistic view of workers' economic interests in their investments." I believe that this book is very interesting and important to scholars in the fields of corporate law, labor law, pension and retirement, social security, industrial relations. It's also very important for regulators, for activists, for union activists. And I found it very interesting. So I would like to support the book and the argument from an Israeli perspective, and I would like to start with Spider-Man. So first of all, as we see in the book, pension funds in the U.S. and in Israel have a lot of power. As Spider-Man have taught us, with great power comes great responsibility, and I think this book is a lot about responsibility. Pension funds have responsibility. Looking at data from Israel, we know that union density is declining sharply. It's not where it is in the U.S., but it is declining sharply, while union density is declining in Israel. Pension funds' assets in Israel are increasing, sharp increasing. In 10 years, they tripled themselves, or even more. From 2007, pension funds managed 222 billions of shekels, so today it's about 700. So pension funds in Israel, like in the US, have a lot of money, a lot of power, and a lot of responsibility. So that is with regards to the observation in the book. I think that if I would like to support the argument from an Israeli perspective, and in Israel we are in, like also I think Ron has shown, we're in a different place. New workers cannot join any more defined benefit funds. They can only join defined contribution, private managed funds, and in these funds, workers have no voice. This great model of working class shareholders, I think, like you're afraid of in this book, that what would happen if we would move to a DC regime. Yes, in our Israeli DC regime, no voice for workers. Workers are not involved, and also they lack financial literacy. They know nothing about their pensions, and they do not influence their investments. So these are a bit workers. If we look at data from Israel, we see that workers, although they can choose their fund and move from one pension fund to another, they do not do that. They do not even know how much management fees they pay to the fund. So of course they do not voice or voice their needs, or because they do not even know what their needs are. But they are like the U.S. They are very much concerned like the U.S. Workers. If I would like to continue to support the argument, like also we heard from Ron, in Israel, unions lost their connection to the pension funds, while in the past unions owned the pension funds. They managed the funds. Managing the funds provide a lot of power to unions. It's funny that in the U.S. you do have it. Union density is low, but unions do own certain funds. In Israel, unions do not own pension funds anymore, and together with the funds, they lost a lot of their power. So losing the funds is also losing much of their power. After supporting the argument, I would also like to move to challenge the argument again from an Israeli perspective. So from an Israeli perspective, but I think also from a U.S. perspective, as you show in the book in the last chapter, most OECD countries are shifting away from defined benefits to defined contribution. I understand from your book that this is also the trend in the U.S. And then, of course, I can put a question mark. Will this book be history, or will it be still relevant? I hope it will, and I will also say several words why I think it should be also in a defined contribution regime, but there is a question mark. Challenging the argument too, I think we should also need to ask, do these pension funds in the book represent well their savers' interests? I mean, I do not know, but I would like to hear more about the board members in the pension funds. Who is the CEO in the pension funds, not in the corporation? How is she compensated? Does she have a college degree? I saw that there was some debate about it in California. Does she need a college degree? Maybe not, I don't know. In Israel, the management of pension funds by the unions was kind of a catastrophe. I mean, there was a high actuarial deficit. It didn't work that well, although I would like to say it did. Moreover, with regards to social investments, as far as I know, in Israel, workers are not interested in social investments. They just want high returns. At least that's what I heard. In Israel, workers can choose their investment from types of investment. They can choose a halakha investment policy or a kosher, because there is a market for that, but not a market for social investments. So the question remains, if you want to represent the workers, is this something the workers want? Or do they just want returns? If I would like to ask, do these working class shareholders or do these pension funds replace unions, I would first like to see what do unions do and to compare it to pension funds. So unions, as we know, Ron mentioned Hirschman, also Freeman and Madoff speak about voice. Unions voice workers' needs. Unions are also associated with providing pension arrangements, not just giving better pension arrangements, but also of providing pension arrangements to those who do not have them. Unions promote wage equality. Can pension funds do all of this. I do not think, you do not claim they do, but I think this is something that I would like to emphasize. If we're looking at pension funds, who is part of this project? Who do these pension funds in this book assist? Who does this book aims to assist? So we're speaking about public workers. Public workers, this book is about public workers in centrally managed defined benefit funds such as CalPERS, CalSTRS, teachers, nurses, police officers. They are part of the project. The book and the argument aims to assist them. Who is not part of the project? Of course, non-working people cannot be part of the project, but also working people without pension arrangements, like this woman in McDonald's, she's not part of the project. The book does not aim to assist her. Of course, you can correct me. Private sector workers, and also public sector workers without a defined benefit pension arrangements. I understand from this book that not all public workers have defined benefit pension anymore in the US, and especially not all new public sector workers. So they are out of the project. They are out of the project, but they will pay the prices of the project. This lady from McDonald's, who may not have a pension arrangement, will pay the prices of the project if it will not turn out well, because we're speaking about defined benefit pensions schemes. So the cost of underfunded defined benefit plans falls on the states and municipalities that sponsors them. If the social investment would result in loss of money, all taxpayers, including those without pension plans, including this lady from McDonald's, will pay the price. If I would like to end with an example from Israel, so this lady who works in McDonald's in Israel, it's an Israeli lady, she does have a pension arrangement. Why does she have a pension arrangement? Due to unions and collective agreements, and more specifically, due to a legal tool which we have in Israel of expansion order, which in the US, you do not have it. So the Minister of Labor took a collective agreement and expanded it to all Israeli workers. So this is something unions do, and of course pension funds cannot do such a thing, cannot provide pension insurance to someone who do not have. I would like to end with some optimistic point of view. I think I wanted to be optimistic after reading the book, and I wanted to think, how could this also, I wanted someone like Bobby Deal in my defined contribution pension fund. I wanted him in my fund, and I really like this quote. Yes, yes. I checked many times, just to be sure. So I really like this quote, and this is someone I really want in my defined contribution pension funds. So I will just read the quote and end with it. So he said in the book, Bobby Deal, a police surrogate, half of my guys carry axes and the other half carry guns. We put bad guys in jail for a living. We are not about to sit back and let someone steal from our members and the investing public. We are going to do something about it. So I want him, and I really hope that this book and these shareholders, we will see these things also happen in defined contribution pension funds. Thank you.
So David.